Hi everybody, Flash Trasman back again with another episode of Suzerain. Just wait for the main screen to load. Balance of power in Eastern Magnolia. I remember myself where we were. Right. Open a drink. Right. Well, is nearly finished. Let's have a quick scout about the... Right, down here in it. Right. Budget allocation for the armed forces. To determine the current situation of the military and its spending policy, we have held a meeting in the White Room. Peter Vulcan and Mr. Potato Head were seated. General Vulcan, Mr. Lancy, let's start with the briefing. Very well, Mr. Vice President. We have prepared a briefing to convey further details about the current situation of the military. Which branch would you like to know about? What's the state of the Navy? Our Navy currently consists of 59 ships with a total of 660,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from the main naval base in Conrad, where our flagship SS Renan is docked. How does our Navy compare to others? Our Navy is dwarfed by the size of Vagslandian Navy, which has 194 ships, and the Magnolian Navy, which has 84. Oof, that's a lot of ships. That's why they've got to be very careful they don't take on them, because they'll get annihilated. We only surpass Lesbia in terms of our Navy, as they have less than 30 ships. That's a tiny Navy. As you see, the situation is dire, but the solution is not just more ships. To make a truly better Navy, we need to equip our ships with modern radar and sonar systems. More outdated ships wouldn't mean much. Fair enough. Which seas does our Navy patrol? We patrol the Mercury Sea, the Grey Strait, and the Antician Sea. Probably said that wrong, but anyway. Our Navy protects all our coastal regions, however, to make sure we're not thinning out our defences. We prioritise certain regions over others, like Greater Holsword. We often patrol those routes that are close to the shipping lanes, especially the Mercury Sea and the Grey Strait. The amount of cargo that goes through that area is eye-opening. Another thing to note is, after the takeoff of Heligoland, where our Navy led incursion operations to protect Magnolia, we also take part in some joint Navy drills as well. Let's see about how's our capability in power projection. Truth is, we are limited to our near region due to the size and technological level of our naval ships. If we had modern support vessels, we could possibly participate in international operations. Is that a priority though? That's right. We still hold some power though. If need be, we could block the trade route at the Mercian Sea. Not if we got taken on the Vagslandian Navy, we couldn't. Anyway. To make up for our weakness, allowing ourselves to our naval power could also help protect our seas. Let's see about everybody else. Which one? Let's go to the Air Force. Our Air Force currently has 410 planes in inventory, out of which only 140 are jet planes, and they are not in great condition. 30,000 pilots and support staff work in the Air Force, and they are commanded from the Mark Air Force Base in Norway. Hello. What are our operational capabilities? Our planes can bomb targets 400 km radius of their airfield. They have medium range and semi-effective nighttime bombing capabilities. At any time, we can field 7 air wings, comprising a total of 130 aircraft that can operate in combat duty. This is enough to subdue most targets. In terms of our bombing capability, we have on average 100 meters of precision. This is not great, but it's still within an effective radius of the bombs. How experienced are our pilots? Our pilots have average experience. They have a total of 450 hours flight time with their craft before they are qualified. This gives them more than enough time to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 to 1,500 hours in other countries like Acacia, United Contana, Lesbia and Vagland. They are very concerning. They've got a massive navy and they've got experienced pilots. Normally our output pilots should be higher, but due to the lack of funding we can't increase training times. Fuel costs are rather high. How does our Air Force work together with other military branches? The Air Force is trained as an independent tactical support branch, which means it assists other branches but doesn't collaborate, which does cause some issues like friendly fire and missed close air support opportunities. There are ways to improve collaboration with joint operation rooms. Some things about surely. About the other branches. Any Pacific one you don't know about? The only one we haven't talked about What is the situation of the army? According to the latest reports from Stat Camp Strongarm, currently we field 6 armies totalling up to approximately 400,000 active troops. This is a good amount. The real issues we are having is with quality, not quantity. What is the current equipment status? Our army is quite outdated by military standards. Most of our equipment is 2 decades old. To make up for a lack of modern military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not a good long-term solution. I've been trying hard to reduce the negative effects of this problem. We don't need a modernisation program, a standardisation of purchase of We don't need a modernisation program. A standardised purchase of lacking equipment would do. We do need more funding towards expanding the military size, otherwise the army will seem to be as weak. Where exactly is the army deployed right now? I think I can guess that. The first army is stationed at Lesbia and Relland borders to protect the way into the central region of Sordland. The second army, our strongest force, is being situated on the Wumberg border. The second army has a large mounted commander force, and it is the best equipped army because they are facing Wumberg. Fair enough. The third army near the Magnolian border and coastal areas near facing Vagsland. Due to the bitter past, we generally keep our coastal defence force, although many years ago the decimation of our fleet is still not forgotten. Okay, there's some history there. How do we compare to other branches? Wumberg fields 6 armies amounting to 1 million soldiers. Lesbia fields 5 armies, which amounts to 800,000 soldiers. Vagsland fields 1 army, it's about 140,000 soldiers. So basically, Vagsland naval-wise are very strong, air force-wise are very strong, but they've got no army, so if we got a war with them, they ain't going to hit us on the land. Whereas, this lot are going to hit us on the land. That's useful now. Relland can field an army about 100,000 soldiers, and Magnolia fields 2 armies of about 200,000 soldiers. So in terms of size, we are second behind, or third behind, Wumberg and Lesbia. The sheer size of Wumberg's armies because they are forced conscription laws due to their massive gold reserves, they are able to afford it. On the other hand, Lesbian army is the most advanced, followed by the Vagslandian army. Both of these countries put lots of money into modernising their military. Crucial other branches, very well. Let's move on. Let's clear this vote. The Ministry of Defence is content with additional funds. I hope so. Hopefully, the allocated money helps our defence needs. The increase in military budgets for national security is threatened by Wumberg and other nations. The military is a top priority for administration. The Swedish people hold it in high esteem. It is a pleasure to work with you, Asef and Valken. You are true sons and have served and continue to serve well. The important thing is we put these funds to good use, and the people will need proof of access in the military. Right, do we stroke egos? What do we say here? Let's stroke egos. Likewise, Mr. President, I salute you for this right decision. I knew I could trust you. We should move on to spending choice. I want to hear some suggestions. The increase of the military budget leaves us with big questions about how to utilise it. There are lots of debate at the ministry which results in 2 factions of thought. The first faction is in favour of enlarging the armed forces by enlisting more men, while the second faction is in favour of purchasing better military equipment instead. What is the argument for increasing the size? Some of our neighbours have large populations, thus larger armed forces. Using force to boost our size would minimise their advantage. Theoretically, numbers alone don't determine the strength balance. Yeah, I can't agree with that one. Listing more soldiers to the armed forces could also minimise the unemployment issue. I'm not convinced on this. Me neither. Reports show that we are lacking equipment, not men, for military efficiency. We cannot beat an overwhelming large force like Wumberg without numbers. Can we better equipment? What is the argument for purchasing better equipment? The armed forces are behind in terms of military equipment in comparison to our neighbours. We need a functional modernisation programme. No matter how many advanced weapons and systems we buy, our enemies can overcome them. Vulcan had a serious tone. That sounds bleak. Quality over quantity always. Can destroy a much larger one. So we think Wumberg feels 3 times our force. A modernisation program won't mitigate that difference. The urge of large assaults and human wave tactics are over. I agree with Miss Potato Head. We are heading to an era of modern combat which requires modern tools to adapt. Final decision. General's waiting for a word. I hope this decision is I hope the decision is in the interest of all. Yeah, let's go with that one. As the relation decision will be negative for our old doctrine. Don't care about old doctrine. Glad we made the right choice on this. I'll make the necessary arrangements. Vulcan and this have looked at each other. That will be all for today then. Have a good work, everyone. I'd like to extend my thanks for your attendance. The meeting included a sunset over the concrete jungle that was Wholesale. I thought we were down in Suzerain. Okay, let's have a... So, we've got them and them. Who do you want to talk to first? Let's go to this lot now. Trade talks with Magnolia. Okay. Excuse me. I don't know what they're saying. So military. I do currently equipped military. Oh, okay. Okay. Sordland 1's flight from Wholesale to Stalport took 3 hours but went very smoothly. We were about to touch down. David left his seat and came over while Simon was enjoying his newspaper. Looks like we were about to land, Mr. President. I looked outside, I could see Helligerland, the island between Vagland and Magnolia. So many conflicts over a small piece of land. The island can barely sustain itself without outside help. I was just thinking the same thing. If I was in the shoes of the Magnolia Prime Minister, I will do anything to protect the motherland. Thousands of people died fighting for it. I wonder if it was worth it. I expect to be one of the topics Mr. Van Houten will be bringing up as a bargaining chip. We must be careful. Helligen might be under the control of Magnolia, but the international community isn't has yet to recognise it for good reason too. Nobody wants to make an enemy of Vagsland, especially because of the support of the United Qatar and the CSP. Yeah, CSP is the, what would have been the Warsaw Pact. I don't care who we're against, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Me included, I wouldn't want anything to injure our relationship. We don't have a relationship with them. Let's go with that one. We should try to look at the bigger picture. So when folded his newspaper, got up from his seat and sat right next to us. Aside from the point of Helligerland, we need to be careful with the additional requests. According to the deal that was negotiated so far, they want to sell us their steel for a higher price, and they are requesting easier access to our agricultural market. In return, they are promising cash flow and investment, especially in the Agnan region. It's not hard to guess why. Precisely, Agnolian immigrants into the Agnan region makes up for a good chunk of our region's economy now. Due to international negotiations, they have brought up the topic of immigration many times. The fact that we have relaxed immigration laws will help tremendously. Let's see if we can shake hands on it. Pilot made an announcement decision that the Senate started. David and Sam went back to their seats. I took another look outside the window. I could see Stalport, the capital city of Magnolia. The large dockyards of the city and the canals are a bit closer as the descent continues. Stalport was a fitting name due to Stal meaning canal. A couple of minutes later we finally touched down. The plane parked and I took a final look out the window. The welcoming ceremony of Magnolia was waiting along the red carpet outside. As the guards made their way out, I exited the plane. Waved at the crowd. I waved at the crowd. Many cameras flashed. Van Houten was nowhere in sight. I was greeted by the Foreign Minister. After shaking hands and a couple of photos, I moved to the corridor. Surgeons waiting to make our way to the office of the Prime Minister. Good day, sir. I hope your flight was comfortable. I'm assuming you were on the same one. I got in the car and we made our way through the foreign streets. Our convoy was protected by Swedish Agnolian guards in their vehicles. We began driving by the highway. We began driving by the highway beside the port and saw dozens of dockyards and ships anchored. Some of the ships and machinery looked old. The city itself looked grey and grim. The buildings had a touch of Lundberg's famous monarchian architecture and a mix of Swedish signature domes on the old ones. We were now in the main road to the office of the Prime Minister. Serge, looks like they are not too happy to see you, sir. Serge pointed at the crowd gathered bystanders. It was a protest, so shouting and yelling at the convoy. Some of them held up sign written in Sordland. Sordland must pay its debts to Magnolia. I do not think so. You know, I never knew Magnolians were so ungrateful. Not everyone sees a greedily like you every day. They get so right, so grateful they can yell all they want. There are so many issues in Sordland. I don't know if I can call myself a great leader. I wonder what propaganda their state is feeding them. Let's go with that one. They're afraid of you, sir. They are scared of that Sordland will reach its potential. They don't want to see you to be seen as a great hero you are. The convoy started slowing down. We have arrived, sir. The car continued through the gates while the security vehicles went the other way. We came to a stop in front of the door. The surgeon left the car and opened the car door. I exited and began walking to the door where dozens of press and the Prime Minister were waiting for me. I saw the PM much more clearly as I neared the door. He was shorter than I thought. Mr. President, welcome to Magnolia and to the beautiful city of Torpor. Let's stoke his ego. He reached out for a handshake. The press surrounding us waiting for this moment. Shake hands and a hug after. Hands went for a hug, received well by the Prime Minister. The press went wild and took more pictures. He gestured to the entrance of the 200-year-old Parliament building. This way, please. We entered and pressed followed us inside. I would like to present you with a gift as a sign of our friendship between our two countries. The assistant showed up immediately with a large glass box in her hand. It contained a single parchment inside. This here is one of the first treaties written in between Sordland and Magnolia, just like the one you have prepared, Mr. Wishy, before my term. May it mark the renewal of our friendship today as well. I hope so too. Our photos were taken again. I gestured one of my retainers who was holding our gift to the PM. I didn't want to do that. I didn't see the original copies of the first Constitution of Sordland. An excellent copy. I've always wondered what the original looks like. Thank you for this excellent gift. I didn't see what the ones were. I need to be careful clicking stuff. Let's go to my office. Follow me. I followed and we entered the office of the Prime Minister. It was a room of wooden minimalist decoration. It was far more modest than I expected. We sat down. He leaned back and made himself comfortable. Thank you. Thankfully done with the ceremonies. Are you not fond of these ceremonies? I think they're a waste of time, but alas, it's just one of our jobs. He got up from his chair, moved to the bar, where many varieties of liquor. Thank you. Would you like a drink, Mr. Rayne? Some Magnolia vodka. You know your drink. Yeah. He poured us a drink, gave me mine before sitting down again. True gentleman, I can respect that about you, Mr. Horton. This is how we do things in Magnolia, Mr. Rayne. I appreciate the kinds words. Flatter alone won't sway me today. That's fair enough. First of all, I'd like to say I have been watching your recent changes in immigration policy. I'm glad you have decided to keep it relaxed. Immigrants are important and beneficial to economic development. I believe that very much Magnolia. To ensure that Sordland have moved into a more modern direction. Let's not kind of wind him up. He took a sip from his vodka. So tell me, Mr. Sordland have a reliable trading partner to Magnolia. Yeah, as long as let's push it back. As long as Magnolia is a reliable trading partner, I can assure you we are. Van Horton leaned further back in contemplation. So what's it going to be? Are we going to talk all day about what I've done, or are we going to sign this deal? So what's it going to be? First of all, if we shake hands on this agreement, it's going to be beneficial for both of us. You should be able to sail your recession in no time with investment and money flow coming from us. This is, as you know, on top of reduced tariff for trade in between our countries. Of course, in return, as discussed between my people and your people before, this will allow us privileged access to our agricultural market. You will buy steel from us for a higher price, which is a small price to pay. Really, that is a deal. What do you say, Mr. Rayne? Go on, let's accept it. Excellent. If we dive into paperwork for the trade deal, I want to offer you another possibility. I'd like to expand our newly found partnership. We have regional forces like Wumberg that have been imposing danger on both our countries. I'm of a mind that we must unite, so... And the past persuaded me, upon me as Prime Minister of Magnolia, I'm offering a military arts between Sordland and Magnolia. What do you think? Problem is, I'm more than dragging us into a war with Magnolia. Let's accept it. Go on. Excellent here. I'll mention to go over the details later. Now that we've gone this far, we're willing to enter an alliance. There's a good topic I'd like to bring up. Anything else? As you know, Helgeland has been long contested between Magnolia and Dragsland. Those warmongers want to take it back the island. As you know, the international community does not recognise the rightful claim on the island, including Sordland. What better way to cement our alliance on announcing to that Sordland recognises Helgeland as... Oh dear me. You're asking too much. It's understandable I won't push too much on this matter. We have achieved enough for today. Well then. From his chair, we'll continue our official programme. As you know, we'll pay a visit to our founder's grave for another ceremony. Afterwards we will move onto the state dinner. After you. So left the office, I briefed Simon and David on the outcome of the meeting. The rest of the state trip was full of fake smiles, handshakes, incredibly long ceremonies and even longer meetings between our ministers and their counterparts. We came to an end of the trip. The way back was mostly silent. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when we touched down in Holsword. It was time to discuss the good news. Okay. So we're now in a military alliance. We've got our budget got up. Oh yeah, what's going on? Hang on, what's my mouse doing? Sorry, my mouse had a bit of a wobble then. Okay. So we've got a trade deal. Cover trade volume. Okay, trade volume's gone up. Let's have a look at the old. Hang on a second. Sorry, my screen decided to go a bit crazy. Sorry about that. My screen's decided to have a bit of a wobble. Not my screen, my mouse rather. Sordland and Magnolia enter alliance today. Sordland has entered a military alliance with Magnolia along with a new trade deal between the countries that comes into effect on Tuesday. Magnolian Prime Minister Van Houten told reporters that this alliance is a historic development that will benefit both countries economically and diplomatically. He also says it will help both countries stay strong against external threats, pointing out both countries concerned regarding their neighbour Rumburg. Apart from the military alliance, Rumburg will open its agricultural market to Magnolia. With the new trade deal, this deal will also increase trade volume between the two countries, in particular Magnolia. Still, we will continue to advocate continued fair trade between our two countries, and our relationship is extremely beneficial to both of them. Okay. Okay, yep. Fine. After that. Second can satellite in space. Okay. Geopolitics, new alliance into Macopia. Its scheme will mean increased trade, more important. Okay. Yeah. What worries me is, we're signing this deal, this defence partnership to protect against Rumburg, but I worry whether that's going to drag us into a war with Dragsland. Right. Let's have a look at you. Writers arrested. Okay, nothing to see there. That's quite scary. Our government budget is diabolical. It's reporting a massive overhaul of education which is progressing. While all schools in Sordland will collaborate in the reduction of hours taught in citizenship, socialism and national subjects. Pedagogical improvements like improved teacher-student relationships. Okay, that's going well then. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the one. Is nicely complete. Final pressure has been made for the opening. So closely linked. Boost. Okay. Hopefully that's going to improve that diabolical situation. Yes. Okay. Let's go down to Welland. What could possibly go wrong down here? Sordland won the flight from Holsword to Vaklovich. Took approximately 5 hours. Despite heavy turbulence, I managed to sleep a little. Long Sam we landed at the international airport of the capital city of Welland. Our aim was to finalise a trade deal drafted between Sordland and Welland. Shortly after the plane landed, the door opened. A son blinded me for a moment. I stepped outside. I saw soldiers lined up each side of the red carpet. There must be 100 soldiers. The marching band started playing, and the soldiers immediately saluted me. Not saluting them back. Bottom of the stairs, Victor Smolak was waiting for me next to a military jeep with a few soldiers by his side. There were a few reporters on the side waiting with their cameras. He was a tall man, almost as tall as me. He was wearing a large sunglasses, and his attire was a regular sick contrast with military attire of everyone else in the field. Mr. President, welcome to Vaklich. He immediately motioned for an embrace. We hugged, and many cameras went off at the same time. He turned for a couple of additional poses. Nice to see you, Mr. President. Now that pleasure is done, let's go. We'll take a jeep for a tour. With another turn from the marching band, we boarded the military jeep and sat in the driver's seat, and I sat next to him. He sat in the driver's seat. As we started speeding up, the soldiers turned to look again. Victor Smolak saluted back. That says it all, really, doesn't it? Doing nothing. My security detail and Victor's security detail started following us immediately along with a team of reporters. We will first go to Suzerain and see the opening of a statue. Whose statue? And mine, of course. Again, that says it all. He salutes the military, and he's got a statue of himself. Okay, and it kind of really gives you kind of a flavour of where this country is going. We kept making small talk about the flight and the weather until we started making. Okay, let me read that. The words. We kept making small talk and the flight and the weather until we started making our way waterway into the city centre. On almost every corner there were reports taking photographs. Oddly enough, every single street that we took seemed completely empty. Is it always this empty? I had the locals close down the business because of your visit so you can enjoy the city more. Oh my god. There we are. We're over the city centre. In the middle of a large plaza there was covered a statue. Lots of people gathered behind fences. They were all waving by Sordland and one of the flags. Victor waved back to them. People are very supportive of the visit, Mr. President. I'm sure you are delighted to see. Man came closer to the fence and started yelling at Victor. With my limited knowledge of the Wessex language, I understood the words Victor and murderer. Okay. Almost instantly, his soldier showed up from behind the man and took him away. Okay. Thankfully, the sun is up. Today will be a good day for the reveal. What will happen to the man who was protesting? Which man? That one in the crowd. Don't worry about the details. He must have had a trouble teller. We'll focus on the event. We took our places in front of the statue with a drum roll. The statue of Victor Smolak was uncovered. He's pretty well done, except he was made more masculine. He's wearing a cloak, holding a sword in his hand. Excellent statue, very lifelike. What do you think? I don't have time for these games. Let's get straight down to business. Don't worry, we will. Just join me for a walk. We follow him through streets. At every corner, more and more photos were taken. We stopped in front of a pastry vendor on the street. Give me 2 strudels. The man smiled. The man behind the stand smiling over 2 strudels. Pay street vendor. I've got money. Your money doesn't count. I've got this. Hand the money to the street vendor. The cameras flashed again. Afterwards, we walked down a short distance to the palace. Passing the gates of the palace, we made our way into the main building, made of ivory-coloured stones. The old guard towers flanked the magnificent main building from both sides. The inside of the palace was very spacious, with a very large chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Grand staircases made from this same stone ivory had red carpets on them. On both sides of the upper levels, guards stood in the traditional outfits of old Wessex kingdoms. We reached the office of the President Rayne, and the door closed behind us. Interior boasted gold ornaments on the walls, ivory colours and various jewels attached to different artefacts of old. As was custom in Welland, we sat on the carpet. Okay, we get a good idea what this bloke's like, aren't we, really? We can now talk about the trade deal. Civil War. Okay. Right, okay. Right. We'll talk about trade deal. Finally. Before that, he clapped his hands twice, bring the kisha. A few assistants immediately entered the room carrying a large automated kisha. A well-known smoking instrument origin to Llewellyn immediately lit it up and room was filled with the smell of tobacco. He held the smoke and then inhaled the smoke and handed me the kisha. Partake. It's probably the highest quality tobacco I've ever smoked. Handed it back. So he took another puff, filling the room with more smoke. So Mr. President, bah, that's too long. Can I call you Anton? Sure. Anton, tell me, what do you really think about Lundberg? Barking doesn't bite. They are a threat that needs to be dealt with. They can go to hell. Not much particular. Not much particular. Like in the country, they have their needs and their own agenda. Yes, what they do. But their ambitions overwhelming. Have ambitions overwhelming Sordland. We must be careful. I can assure you that their time will come. In due time. I'd rather prevent further conflict in the region. You know, as Ryder Anton, they're coming whether we like it or not. They're the aggressors, not us. He's got a point. I do agree with him. For now, I have something else in mind. I'm listening. He clapped his hands again. Two assistants came into the room with a map of the borders regions in Well and Sordland. He pointed to the border. Look. Bloods and the so-called BFF are causing problems for me in this region. I know that they're also a problem for you as well. I will not allow these traitors to exist on my border, so I will hit them with all the might of well, and these terrorists need to be destroyed. I call it Operation Bear Trap. What do you want from me? He grinned and lay back on a large pillow behind him. Here's the deal. I will give you the best trade deal in the region. You will give me the assistance of crushing the terrorists on both sides of our borders. Any specifics? Sure. My spies have infiltrated BFF cells and have found caches of K-74 retraced back to Lundberg. This only justifies my retaliation to protect my country. Worst of all, they have also found similar shipments going to Sordland. Yes, Anton, you see, it's not just Wellness problem. He's right, we know that. Let's take a step back and talk about what you will get in return. I propose you are no tariff agreement, co-investment projects and oil. In return, you will assist me in destroying the terrorists that are in my country. There might be international ramifications. To hell with international ramifications. I will protect my country. I don't care what they say. What I want from you in return is for all the money and all the resources in a joint operation between our armies and against BFF. Think about it. Let's negotiate our contribution to this operation. You're a tough one, Anton. Normally I wouldn't offer anything else, but I like you. Here's my final offer. When the operation starts, with or without you, there will be no stragglers trying to cross into Sordland. We just want you to support the operation. Even if you do not join. Stop the test from fleeing into your country and you will have your deal. Simple, isn't it? What do you think? Deal. Let's do it. I knew I could trust you, Anton. Tonight we drink. Clapped his hands. Drinks, dances, music. The group of dancers and performers entered in the smoke-filled room. They performed their songs, clicked their glasses to a newly found partnership while sipping sweet Wezak liquor. Next, I returned sort of with a hangover. Okay. Why does it feel like we've signed a deal with the devil? Increased trade volume. Well, that is a problem. We need to sort that problem out. Right, news. Sort of like to find a new trade agreement with and investment protection agreement with Velen. This is a significant development, shows a significant normalisation of Wezak Swordish after decades of trouble. Nations will buying all at cheaper price. Okay, fine with that. Right, so let's have a quick look up here. Nothing to think about up here. Right, okay. Oh, okay. Have a quick drink. Alright. Okay, right. I came to the Grand National Assembly of Sordland to deliver a speech regarding the new constitution and asked to support the Assembly for the upcoming vote. I walked quickly through the corridors, giving my greetings to people on my way towards the Parliamentary Hall. When did all the Assembly was in complete chaos. There was shouting and cursing between the parties. There was heavy argument about a proposal made from an MP from the NFP. I took my seat in the area reserved for ministers. Gloria was shouting from her seat at the centre of the hall as she hit the gravel 3 times, each struck heavier than the one before. Order! Order! If you ever watch the Houses of Parliament in the UK, in normal times when everybody in there, you always get the speaker going, order! Order in the House. It's great fun. Like children. I saw Kisara Kibana standing up before shouting towards members of the PFJP. Mr. Kibena calmly also show respect to the procedures of this assembly. Despite her efforts, the argument continued for a couple of minutes before everyone took their seats and finally went quiet. Mr. Kibena, next time when I tell you to do so, either take your seat or leave the hall so we can proceed with the procedure of the assembly and continue our duties. The FP shouted back at her, Honourable ladies and gentlemen, if you allow me to continue, she pointed at me, we have the President here with us today. He has asked us to give us an important announcement. You have the floor, Mr. President. I walked to the stand, loud clapping started from the USB side. Honourable members of the Assembly. So I am here to raise an important question regarding our outdated constitution. Perhaps it's not expected of me to say this, but the President holds too much authority. The Assembly has always been overshadowed. Our Assembly has always been overshadowed by executive and designated judiciary branches of Sordland. The GNA must be able to exercise its job properly without obstruction. However, our current constitution fails to guarantee this. I continued. Therefore, we propose to change the constitution professional for a more democratic era. We must finally rewrite the constitution and break that chains of the past. I can call everyone to stand by us to make historic changes to the constitution and bring it to the standard of today's world. Go with that one. Therefore, proposing. Yep. Applause from. Yep. We will break the Supreme Court's authority over the constitutional changes. Let's go with more moderate. Let's go rebalance the branches of government to ensure a more democratic process. Focused on peace. Don't consume as a product of a time of war. Now is a time of peace. We must make peace between each other. We must strive for peace in the world. We need a more democratic constitution that would reflect the will of the people and flourish in upcoming times of peace and prosper. No, I'm not saying that because I've just ignored it. We will make Sordland great again. The noise is. I took about to continue. Legislative Assembly. We must set aside our differences. It's time to make a new constitution together. Be part of a new Sordland journalism and vote for the proposal. Be part of a new effort Sordland journalism and vote for our proposal. Let's write the future together. Finish with a poem. I decided to read a poem for the end of my speech. There's a great victory growing every morning. There is my country beyond everything. My beloved. The songs are to be sung in affection of our victories. There is a spring that blossoms of the have fallen. Do not doubt the one. There is a decision coming from the heavens. Fear not the dark falls. Okay. Beyond the next morning, there is victory awaiting to be won. The Assembly ruled all kinds of different reactions. Holding our soul upon stood up and started applauding. Thank you for your speech, Mr. President. I walked back to my seat as many MPs attached to speak. Victor was among them. Yes, Mr. Victor. Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. Yep. They agree. I'd like to thank ladies and gentlemen the USP for their more open attitude compared to past years. As long as Mr. President was proved not just to be words, we will be behind this as much needed movement for change. We welcome this attempt. I ask Mr. President to share his final contents of the proposal as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yelling from his seat. Mr. President must have lost his mind to cooperate with this likes of you, Mr. Richter. You and the PFJP are nothing more but puppies of Western interests. Order. Madam Speaker, I know you are in agreement with me as well. Don't stand idly while that administration is making deals with snakes and undermine the integrity of soul. Order, Mr. Kim. How many times do I need to say you are speaking out of I demand to speak. Gloria gave him a stare. She looked annoyed. Well, Miss Kibner, go ahead. Mr. President. He looked at me directly. The National Movement does not agree with your priorities nor the way you're trying to implement them. The National Front Party will not stand by you or your new constitution. Let it be known that the NFP's concerns are not included in the so-called democratic reforms. Thus, Mr. President, you have no right to claim them as such. We will stand our ground against any attempt to bring down our established political culture and national values. Thank you. But the chaos in the assembly continued. Leave the assembly. Got my seat, started to walk towards the exit. MPs carried, respond to each other, created a lot of mess, was nothing legible. Order, this topic is finished, we'll move to our next topic. I slowly left the hall. I could hear the shouting could be heard from every corner of the National Assembly. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that classes as a success, I think. Right. Let's look at this one. Yeah, let's see if I skim it. Everybody must be fixed. Okay. Yep. Oh, I do. That sounded. That looked kind of looked like it. No? Walker warns flags on Navy over Hellish dispute. The ship started advancing on Primitive Island. According to Magnolia sources, yesterday morning, only a battleship had intercepted a Velzian destroyer. Stanison warned them to move out of Magnolia waters. Seeing this event as Raglan putting pressure on the island, Allocation President Dwight Walker warned Vagzan ladies they will not tolerate any attempts to trigger an incident on their own waters. Okay, looks like the Arcasians are getting involved, which is good for us. Border report. Reports are being closed and Division 3rd are ready for the operation. Good. Right, let's hit continue. Right, let's go to continue. Look at that awful budget figure. Okay, so much read there. Board that so far we've been able to get a total of 142 signatures, 42 signatures beyond the proposal left on the road to increase. Reach out to necessary members to reach 150. Wealth of Nations. Okay, let's just wait for this to load up. I'm quietly confident we'll get this constitution through. Right, okay, so let's have a look up here. Magnolia, victory for the newest Democratic Union of Magnolia. So basically, Van Houten won. Okay, it's good. It'd be a pain if he lost and it changed all the rules. Health requires more resources. Okay, yep. Radical. Hidden power of money in uniform. Just nothing to even bother reading that. Oh blimey. Read report. Propose the plan to increase the resource health system, increase quality services in a small market scale market competition. Additionally, Ministry reports highlighted weaknesses Sordland has placed like damage. Mr. Bennewell reported that much more could be achieved through the healthcare system if the private sector could slightly assist by generating new revenue streams and adding new services. Okay. The Ministry just reviewed the Urson v Sordland case and put forward its concurrence opinion before sending dispute to the Supreme Court. The Vice Minister of Justice came forward agreeing with the case of Ishran Ishval Urson pointed out the majority court dissent would be diverse with legal procedure of the future. Okay, it's gone to, I can't remember what this is about. They also convened at Ministry of Defence today to assess security for Sordland. More than 20 high-ranking officers were in attendance. Okay. Arrived at the Cubic building, hired a military command. Grey, brutal structure looked daunting. Never like this building, it always made me feel like I was standing under the concrete foot of a giant ready to crush me. It made me feel small. I never quite got used to the feeling, even after many years. At the entrance, I was greeted by SF and a military entourage of young officers. Welcome, Defence Minister. Let's go to my office. Walked through the corridor, from corridor to corridor, which reaches office. On the way, we were met by high-rank officers and I was private. Every time one of these soldiers saw me, they stopped and saluted me. We finally arrived at ISIS office. His entourage saluted us and left. He closed the door and took a seat. Where's walking in? Normally takes all these meetings. Busy at the moment. I've seen the defence strategies against Rumberg. Leaned back and unlocked his hands. Rumberg is getting worse, and if it wasn't for investments in the military, I would be even more concerned. I bet you it won't come to that. Not everything might be up to us, sir. You've got a point. Our efforts to reconstruct the military should be beneficial in a potential conflict. We would never be able to match the force of Rumberg on equal terms, therefore I switched to the military to a smaller, well-equipped and autonomous-led combat units will prove better in the field. It's been a fantastic job. I'm doing my best to defend the country. I'd care nothing more than Sordland. The recent military partnership we signed with Magnolia includes a mutual defensive clause. In case of conflict, we will be obliged to come to each other's aid. In case of Rumberg invasion, they will come for help. Do you think the support must hold a line? I don't think so. Mr. President, we need stronger allies. Sure, Magnolia is better than nothing, but we must look further. Lesbia or Vaglans are options, but just, well, really, that's the only option you've got. Lesbia. Advice noted. I'll bring it up with David. And the deterrent should force them to think twice. As a result of the recent development, we've started reinforcing the border. 40 scouts have been deployed and we've started moving our divisions. Rest assured, we're ready for anything that will come from this side of the border. We're providing reports to you. Think we will have any problems, but stay alert. We know what we're dealing with yet. Don't want anyone in. Don't let any single dissent to pass our border. Yep. We're always ready for the situation, Mr. President. Asif cleared his throat. Let's move on to our main topic. Man description has become a matter of discussion. We need to strike a decision whether to remove it or not. The fact that conscription gives us a large reservist pool can cover a larger frontline, but these troops lack the morale and quality to be an offensive elements. It's the last step we made to switch to a modern professional armed force. Our restructuring is hindered by 100,000 of cadets extending our logistics, slowing our command structure and reducing the combat efficiency of our experienced units. Our reserves read that damage to professional armed forces. Truly modernised fighting force. We need to get rid of ourselves of sluggish and inefficient cadets thrown into the ranks. To you. Yep. Sure, the change will be made as you wish. But the front, what this meeting is, this after say why wasn't I invited? What is going on here? You are overstepping and interrupting our person between me and Mr. President. Welcome to deliberate the situation. I see what is going on here. I'm in no disrespect, but I'm leading the grand operation. I must be informed of any strategic changes. We need to be on the same page on changes. Well, got the point. You need to be on the same page. National Defence, we must consult amongst all staff to clarify. We have brought the subject up with the General Staff and you. The matter is rather simple from my point of view. I've got large structural changes in operation capabilities and tactics. However, at the end of the day, Rumberg is a larger army and Air Force and Navy. Our conscripts will fit much needed weaknesses we have. Modern army. That settles it then. I'll actually consider No, I am content with the decision. Alright, we can move on. June, we decided to upgrade we had to upgrade the equipment of our military. The military, thanks to administration, for extensive support, especially in creating a modern fighting force. We need to decide which branch we want to modernise more. Strategically speaking, the army would be safe if either the air and air force would do well with modernising too. Which branch should we modernise? That's a tough choice. Where's the bigger threat going to come from? Clearly, I think we're going to have fights with Warnburg first, and they've got no navy. Can we have a look at the map? So if we go to... Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to go to Edinburgh. Codex. I don't know, let's just go here. So if we go to Warnburg, got military's overwhelming. They've got no navy. That's going to be land and air fight. That is. They've got a pitiful arm. Their army's tiny, but they've got a massive navy and a massive air force. I'm going to go air force, I think. As you wish, the change will be implemented this month and finished by at the end of November. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I left the minister's events and returned to the Marine Palace. I didn't go so badly, did it? Lots of stuff to read. Codex updated for the Swedish to Swedish armed forces, BNF band military. So we've got lucky reservists, modernised air force. Okay, happy military experienced generals. Okay. Market crash in Conria. Shut down. Ooh, that's not good. Women's Rights March. Okay. Lockhaven. Right. Black Tuesday, it's Lockhaven. Oopsie. Capacity. Okay, yeah. Oh, look, budget's gone down by 2. Woohoo! We're making changes to the recession, people. Alright, let's go to the Household Post. Boys to men, not without conscription. That's talking about conscription. Forced to fight. Used in crash effects. Okay. Alright. Excuse me. Opening of the L1. All of this. Heavily assisted Project War, along with me, Lucian decided I'd proceed tomorrow. Lucian stood up. First of all, congratulations everybody. To many more projects like this one. Well done everybody. We could have done it with our excellent team. Indeed. Let's move on to our plans for opening tomorrow. Thanks to this last successful infrastructure project, it's a good reason to capitalise on the occasion. I have a plan on how to do that. If Mr. President accepts driving the first high-speed train to Lockhaven will be a great image for our image nationwide. What are your thoughts? Simmons says let's just open it and do nout. I see your point, but involving the President further could be beneficial for the administration. I think so too. There's much to gain. Sounds fantastic. The President arriving to Lockhaven on the driver's seat will make headlines for sure. Additional crowds invited for the seminar will be watching the opening speech. Nothing like a cheerful crowd. It'll be a good opportunity for exposure. Good old campaign days. It was certainly easy back then. Simmons stepped in for a comment. On another note, it goes without mentioning this was a team effort. Beginning with the President who put trust in me, I want to thank everybody who's involved in L1. He deserves a lot of credit because he came up with the project. We've had disagreements, but the important thing was the outcome. Swedish people got what they needed for a long time. We'll show our best face tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'll make sure that our message of improving the countryside will get access. We'll get across. Well, alright then. We have a lot of work to do. Let's see you in the morning. Once again, good work, everybody. Team left, leaving the rest of the evening. Prepare for the big day tomorrow. The next day, the stage has been erected inside the central station along the new electrified railway line. Suddenly created a positive mood in the usually grey whole sword. The crowd looked quite large. I spotted many party members among them. We began moving forward. Towards the stage, excitement was growing. Signal Lucian to begin the ceremony. Ready to begin the ceremony, I gave the green light and Lucian, and the opening address began. Brothers and sisters of Sordland, I welcome you, whole Swordians, today as a proud servant of your country. Lots of people waving flags. Not my turn. I move to the stage. I welcome you to the opening ceremony. R1 citizens, people of Sordland, welcome to the people of Sordland. Technical excitement grew intensified. The crowd began to sing the national anthem. We promised jump duty and we kept a promise. Trust me, our work is far from over. This project is the beginning of good things. Was to improve development in rural areas, cities between Wholesale and Lockhaven to create economic growth in Greater Wholesale and Greater Region. Our intention of L1 Rail is to serve our citizens who have been having a hard time travelling between. It brings down travel time by half. Travel between Wholesale and Lockhaven is faster and more comfortable. Let's just do. None of this would have been possible without my colleagues and my sound advice. We have to think the mind behind. I took time off my duties, person managers, beside me, Mr. President, our aim as a project is obvious to improve speed and efficiency of transportation. I'm sure one of you will be proud. I'm sure each one of you will be proud of the achievements made during this project. During the project, once we cut the ribbon, then you can get on the train yourselves. Recovery, together. Speech, Suzerain, there you have it. Promise, Rayne has delivered. We moved towards the line where the first electric train was waiting. Red ribbon was hanging over the door of the train. Get some scissors, cut the ribbon. Congratulations, a solid, fruitful effort. Hopefully, much more to come. Come over to we hope ceremony in the countryside. The train's prepared and ready. During the service should take about 4 hours. The rest of us will be in the carriage with you. Enter the train. That's been sitting as a driver of the train. Who do you want to travel with in the cabin, Mr. President? Let's have Lucian. We still have a good journey. We could talk about reforms on the day as well. Justin and Reed took photos. Me and Lucian, who kept his usual cool. The new train was pristine condition. Electric engine made much more faster acceleration possible while providing minimal noise and maximum effort. After a relaxing 4 hours drive to Lockhaven, we were welcomed by celebratory citizens of Lockhaven Station. Today was a great victory for the administration. That went well, didn't it? Tell you what we're going to do. I think we're going to leave that there because I think that's a good way to end today's episode. So I'm just going to go like that so I don't lose it. I'm going to go, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Look, the recovery's begun, people. I'm only -5 now, my budget. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Good episode today. We achieved some good things. I think, hopefully, we've got to stop pushing for a military alliance with Lesbia. We'll see if we can work on that, and that might help us. Excuse me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. You know the routine. I always forget to ask people to do that. But anyway, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think as well. Let me know how you've been getting on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.